mommy and daddy's divorced, and a divorced mom pretty much got nothing. I'm not gonna leave my mom by herself. So I'm gonna make sure my mother's taken care of. None of my siblings have helped me take care of my mother to make sure she was okay, except for Tamar. No one said,
This is before Vincent.
Before Vince, Mommy's car insurance is due. Let's help Toni with Mommy car insurance. Boy,
Or
Tamar.
Mommy needs a car.
Normally, I would never have a conversation with Trina or any of my sisters about helping out financially with my mom. But because I'm so stressed in that category, I needed to let her know what I felt.
One thing about the Braxtons that we discovered long ago is that Toni truly bore the financial burden of the whole family on her shoulders, which sapped her energy. Who knows? Perhaps there is a connection between her autoimmune condition and the stress she experienced.
Speaking to me, upset with me. I was told the devil was breaking up our family, the devil was raging. So it was a bad thing. My sister Tracy is the one who said to me, Toni, you know, when you make it, you can help us come on. So I always try to abide that. But the responsibility of it is so heavy for me. I feel like I can never live my life. And I never used to say it. I never used to say anything to anybody. But since we've been doing this show, I've been.
According to reports, Tamar has been discussing how much the circumstances affected Toni and how she genuinely feels for her sister, who had to declare bankruptcy twice.
I don't understand. My second bankruptcy was because I was sick. I have lupus, and my show in Vegas got canceled.
And the insurance wouldn't cover
The
it.
insurance didn't cover it, so I had to pay myself.
Right.
And so
That's a lot. That was a lot of
It
money.
was a lot of money to put up a show. People don't understand it. So if you see a concert, you see the lights, you see the band on stage, the artist pays for all that. The hotel rooms, the salary, so then you have nothing left.
However, was it really so horrible that she wed Birdman and then filed for divorce 2 days later in order to receive a sizable salary? That's what the streets are saying, baby. And that tea will be the main topic of our conversation. All right? Many people might not know this, but even though Toni is almost a living legend, she was barely earning enough money to support her family, let alone herself. During the height of her career, Toni Braxton filed for bankruptcy many times in spite of her popularity, which included bringing in over $170 million in record sales for her company. She also claimed that she was essentially making pennies even while she was making millions for her record company, Crystalise. And we are discussing a person who has sold 70 million records and won many Grammys. All right, okay, in fact, Toni Braxton began singing with her sisters, the Braxtons, in the late 1980s. She later signed on for her solo album, which was released in 1993 and quickly became a blockbuster, selling 10 million copies and peaking at #1 on the Billboard 200. The album, which was produced by Antonio Lareed and Babyface, was also propelled by the notable hits Breathe Again and another sad love song. Toni then released the hit album Secret, which featured the single Unbreak My Heart as a follow-up to her debut, one of the best-selling singles ever. The song sold 10 million copies worldwide. In essence, we are discussing a powerful woman who is regrettably being completely abused and taken advantage of by her record label. Child, can you imagine what other lesser-known musicians truly go through with these record labels if they could do this to Toni Braxton? In any case, Toni ultimately sued her record label. Additionally, Toni filed for bankruptcy in January 1988. She then disclosed that she filed for bankruptcy as a result of problems with her recording contract, which resulted in her earning less than $2,000 in royalties and having to pay back her record company for expenses related to clothing, travel, studio time, and music videos. Her circumstances were so dire that Toni was once charged with defrauding her ex-husband, Carrie Lewis, of almost $53,000 in order to avoid repaying creditors in her bankruptcy case. In 2010, Toni filed for bankruptcy once more, this time due to the fact that she had to cancel her lucrative Las Vegas engagement after receiving a diagnosis of lupus and microvascular angina. In addition, she was experiencing problems in 2019 when, on December 4th, the Internal Revenue Service filed a first lien against her. According to the lien, Toni owes $340,252.99. in outstanding taxes for the year 2017. Days later, she was also struck with a tax demand of over $116,154.
I kind of think it's mine a little bit.
Wow.
A little bit.
And then on top of that, when we
Nothing.
get shows, you still charge her. I don't charge her. When the last time have I charged you for a show?
Tamar
It's been
hasn't charged me
years.
for show for years. My sister Tamar never charges me to do background singing for me. My sister Trina does. My sister Tawanda, she's an executive assistant. That makes sense for her to get a salary. I just wish every situation was not about Toni's savings and loans.
I have never charged Toni. And what I'm saying is it pissed me off. When I saw that you and Tawanda get paid, I was...
In essence, she was exhausted by all of these obligations. And Tamar was the only one who was concerned enough to make an effort to assist. Yes, I am aware that Tamar and the rest of the family have had a lot of turmoil, but you will be shocked to hear that at least she made an effort to assist Toni with household chores. Let's talk about Birdman now. There were rumors that these two were dating in 2016. Additionally, Toni disclosed how long they had been friends and how she never anticipated a love relationship in a 2018 interview with People. He's been my best friend for about 15 or 16 years, she claimed. He has attended my performances, musicals, and baby showers. I had no idea that we would be dating or getting hitched. Having someone reassure you that you don't have to be Wonder Woman all the time and that it's acceptable to be sick is soothing. He came to every concert I had. He would ask me each night, "Are you okay? Are you doing okay?" I said, "Oh my God, he's such a great guy." Birdman claimed to have always liked me when he eventually made contact. He never told me, I thought. "Well, you were married," he says. "I was always digging on you," he remarked. In the same interview, Toni added that even though she was dealing with a condition that can be emotionally, physically, and mentally taxing due to the ongoing risk of blood clots and pulmonary embolisms, she never had to pretend to have lupus around Birdman because he always understood. She said, "I can get on television when I'm having a terrible day and tell them it's a good day. And he'll say, 'No, it's not. I'm able to tell. Because I felt embarrassed to have lupus and thought no one would want to care for a lady with lupus. I've always had trouble dating. I felt uneasy. When I'm with him, I can. Wear a little cap or skull cap with lipstick and mascara and yet feel safe letting my hair down a bit, which is wonderful." In the end, Birdman did pop the question, and Toni even labeled pictures taken only minutes before our engagement. 24 hours later. In one picture, the pair was seen hugging as Toni's new rock was on show, and in the other, they were seen taking a selfie. Birdman raved about Toni to Wendy Williams at that same time, telling her that he loved her unconditionally and that Toni was his army, his life, his everything, and his love.
There's no date.
There's no date. We almost had a date. Well, we had 2 dates, but we were doing Braxton Family Values and we were going through a little drama. And I was like, okay, the wedding is a good thing to get all of us sisters together.
Yeah.
But I couldn't get us all together. And I said, the wedding's not a good reason because it's messing up my relationship a little bit. He's like, come on, Michelle, set a date. I know.
That's what he calls you?
Calls me Michelle. Doesn't call me Toni at all. That's my middle name, Toni Michelle. Yeah.
Set a date.
Set a date. He said before the year's out, so I have, what, a couple weeks.
Couple weeks.
Yeah.
So he's 45, you're 51.
He's 49.
49.
In fact, Toni also mentioned the engagement, and she mentioned that they were on the verge of deciding on a wedding date. Actually, 2 dates. However, she said, the wedding is a good thing to get all the sisters together since they were practicing Braxton family values and experiencing some turmoil. Regretfully, she was unable to bring them all together. In any case, Toni also expressed her excitement about being married when she remarked, "I'm over 40 and this is my second wedding, on something classy and a touch sensual since it reminds me of Carrie Bradshaw from The Last Bride Over 40 at my first wedding. I wore the stunning ball dress. This time, I'd want something with a Great Gatsby motif that is more vintage." From the 1920s and 1930s, Toni stated that macaroni and cheese was on her groom's must-have list. I said, "Can we have macaroni and cheese balls to keep it pretty?" Birdman wants to be married in California, so Toni added that she would let him choose the venue. We discussed moving to Atlanta, but he declined as he didn't want any relics from my prior wedding. The wedding, however, never took place. Toni said that her work obligations were the reason they kept delaying the date. However, people claimed that she was just making excuses since she would have gotten married to Birdman if she had wanted to. Toni mentioned shortly after that she left her $1 million engagement ring in her checked luggage and that it was stolen. Additionally, the entire incident seemed really suspicious. Before we knew it, the two had split up in 2019. Additionally, Birdman deleted all of Toni's photos from his Instagram account after posting the enigmatic and lonesome statement. It's over at that time. However, Toni shared a photo of herself wearing a red gown with the statement. Being picked is usually the first step in a new chapter, even though it's not always an easy one. To the new year, cheers! Imagine the look of surprise on people's faces when they learned that Toni and Birdman had truly been married. Split up after just 2 days, according to court records. Toni and Birdman solely used their initials BWNTB. Furthermore, it was easy to determine that the records were about Toni and Birdman, even though they most likely intended the specifics would stay under wraps. According to court records, Toni and Birdman got married in secret on August 8th, and then they split up on August 10th. 2 weeks later, Toni then filed for divorce. Additionally, Toni and her lawyer described the marriage as irretrievably damaged in the documents. However, Toni rejected the divorce petition in January 2025. They had just split up 2 days after their marriage. Additionally, Birdman approved of that so they could still be legally wed. Many individuals were still perplexed. After all, then it was revealed that there were rumors that Toni had married Birdman only for financial gain. Given Toni's financial difficulties, I can understand why people may think so, though I'm not sure whether it's accurate. In fact, rumors have it that Toni has never really recovered financially. Furthermore, according to rumors, Tamar is still the only one making an effort to assist, as she always did. Indeed, it's really strange that she broke up with Birdman just 2 days after they were married. However, do you believe she would genuinely get married for financial gain? Your opinions on would be greatly appreciated. In the meanwhile, please share your thoughts in the space provided below on Toni essentially carrying her whole family on her back. Fantastic.